Hello everyone, it's Bryce with HenGear.com and Seven Sons Farms, and I'm with my brother Bruce, who manages our laying hen operation. We have over 15,000 laying hens here on our farm. We're currently in one of our winter coops. We have, 3 of these buildings. They're 30 by 400 feet. So yeah, and again, this is just our winter setup, and in the springtime, they'll go out into our portable buildings and moved every day throughout the pasture. But like I said, I'm really thankful that Bruce is here, and he and I both would like to share with you, talk with you about one of our more common FAQs that we get, which is how to keep hens from laying on the ground. This is something we struggle with. The last 2 decades, we've had laying hens. We've been forced to come up with some different tools and different ideas to help reduce that, because it can become quite a nightmare, as I'm sure you know. And yeah, Bruce is hoping to share with us some of those ideas. And I guess, Bruce, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, like, what's like an ideal environment for a hen to lay? Like, what are the things they're looking for, especially when they're first coming on to laying?
Yeah, so a laying hen, they want to feel safe and comfortable when they're laying their eggs, especially when they first start going into production. And they're also very habitual, social creatures. So it's important that you provide the nesting box it's going to meet these needs for the chickens. They want to feel comfortable, safe.
Dark. They're looking for a dark area.
So you want your nesting box to be dark, comfortable. We suggest nesting pads in the nest box.
Yeah, the nesting pad kind of mimics like kind of a bedding, because hens like to kind of build a nest. So, and they'd like to lay where they see other hens laying as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, they do. So, oftentimes we'll find that corners in our buildings can attract hens to lay together. They'll start bunching in that
corners
corner.
are an easy place for hens to gather, right?
Yeah. So we've oftentimes we've rounded off our corners. Sometimes we just put like a pallet in the corner just to help prevent them going to that corner, because again, just that corner cannot literally make them feel safe enough to want to start laying.
It's wild.
So, but yeah, first and foremost, you want your nest boxes to be the ideal environment for them to lay their eggs, and you're trying to eliminate any insemination out in your building or out on pasture. So, which goes in hand, if you're a pasture-based setup, you really wouldn't want to have 2-foot-long grass when your hens are coming into production.
Tall grass.
They're going to lay all their eggs out there. So
the grass creates that shadow and kind of dark, and even like kind of a natural nesting area. So yeah, ideally we want to keep that grass short. So how is it we keep the grass shorter though?
We'll go through it with the cattle. The cattle rotate through there, and if we can't time the grazing rotations correctly, I'll take a mower out there and mow it down. Yeah, because we've actually had a lot of hens start to lay out on pasture, and that's a nice nightmare to be doing that. The main thing is that you solve this potential problem at the beginning when the flock comes in to lay, because like I said, they're habitual. So if you start their pattern with laying in the nesting boxes at the beginning, it's going to be so much easier to keep them in there. Whereas if they started laying on the ground, trying to train them to go to the nesting box, it's a lot harder and it takes a lot longer.
So it's very important to get it right from the beginning. And like even Bruce was talking about, like the dark areas, we want to avoid that. And I think Bruce, like even feeders, right?
Yeah. So in this building behind us, feeder height is pretty important. There's there's 100 feeders in this building, so they're all at a certain height. You don't want them too low, or else the hen may want to just lay underneath that feeder. Obviously, you can't have it too high. So it's basically at the beak height. Is
the beak height, or even I've heard some folks even say like at the tops of their backs almost, basically.
So, and then nesting boxes are at 2.5 feet. You don't want them too low, or else they're also going to lay under those.
But you also don't want them too high, right? Because they have to
too high, they're going to have to jump too far, and they're not going to be incentivized to go into the nesting box.
Because you got to think they have that egg in them. They have the weight of that egg in them, so they have to jump up to the box. But again, you don't want to have it, like just look here, you don't want to have it too low, or also create kind of a dark shadow area and they'll want to lay.
So, and then there are times where we get hens laying eggs in the corner or something, and things that we do to help train them is we'll simply put a nesting box down there. We don't start by putting nesting boxes in our corners, because we're just going to incentivize the lay to those.
We'll start by rounding.
Start by rounding off the corner, and then if you still have some hens laying in that corner, then we'll put a nesting box on the ground. And then we'll slowly move that nesting box to wherever our line of nesters are, and we'll basically make them think that they need to lay into that nester on the wall, and we'll pull that ground nester out.
After time, over time, or a period of time.
This is a week process or more.
Okay, yeah, and also I remember too, something that we tried doing a while back, which I felt like worked for a little while, but it is a lot of work. But we would actually put up a little fence, like a 2-foot fence, in front of the nest boxes. at least that was the time when we were struggling with hens laying underneath the nest boxes. That was something that did seem to help.
Yeah.
But I think, Bruce, one of the bigger things that we've noticed just in the last 12 months, something we did differently with a few of our new flocks that came in, was using fake trainer eggs, so like wooden fake eggs.
Yeah.
We were just really surprised. I guess you, Bruce, want to talk a little bit, just what you've noticed.
Basically, we put a fake wooden egg in every nest box. We just clipped it onto the nesting pad. And the idea behind that is because hens are social creatures. If they see an egg on the ground, they're going to want to lay next to that egg. So basically, when the flock comes into the building, we're showing them that eggs belong in the nest boxes. So they start associating the nest box with the place to lay their egg. We've noticed an increase in nester laying ratio to ground egg.
Yeah, it's actually reduced it quite a bit versus the previous flocks. We've really have seen that the floor egg, I guess, numbers reduce quite a bit, and and I guess and you don't have to use something that looks 100% like a fake egg. I've heard of folks using golf balls. Again, hens again, like you mentioned, they're social creatures, like to lay where other hens are laying or where they see other eggs at. So you want to try mimicking that as best you can. So yeah, Bruce, is there anything else? I think we talked about the lighting, the corners.
Yeah, I would just say that I want to put emphasis on the fact that you want to solve any of these production issues with corners or lighting early on when the flock is coming into production. If you can solve it early on, then it's going to be a lot easier throughout the remainder of the year.
Starting good habits early. Very, very important. Well, Bruce, I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us your thoughts and ideas and what the two different tools you've learned throughout the years. All right. Well, again, I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you'd like to learn more about our farm and what we do here, please visit sevensons.net. If you'd like to learn more about some of the poultry products that we've developed for our farm and for you guys, please visit HenGear.com. Until next time.